welcome to the show, everybody. Today is the Council on Future Conflicts 400th episode. Actually, it's not episode 400. We've done several specials in there, so we're over 400, but this is the number 400 show. My name is Scott, the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today, we're talking about new assassination infos, and the nomination is... And so we're going to be talking, Kamala Harris and her presumptive nominee status that she has just taken by, what is it, kind of a coup de main, right? Or coup de main.
Force majeure.
Force majeure, whatever your appropriate French term is. And then, of course, we'll be talking a little bit about the Trump campaign and some of the things going on there. Should be a fun show. We will be on YouTube for the whole thing, so that should be interesting. And so, guys, let's just jump right into it. Joe, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I'm sitting in the library of the Shield Field Days location, Camp Ponderosa. So it's pretty good there. Joshua said that I'm serving as the advanced team for the Duke. But listen, as a professional, I brought along my designated marksman, who is sitting right over there, to help me do the advance, because that's how real professionals do it, not like, what happened in Pennsylvania. But anyway, we're pretty excited to be here and get ready for the event. There was a lot of planning done late into the night between me and the CEO of Shield, and the only time I had to interrupt him was when I said, "But wait, I have to have tacos first at the A Bar." And those who've been to Montana know A Bar makes good tacos. So it's a good evening. We're ready for folks to come on out and do it. We had a class starting here in a couple of days. People keep signing up for that class. Right up till last night, I had to sign up. And we're going to have some fun. A lot of folks are coming to the class and staying all week. So pretty good stuff. Rumor has it that Hunch the Dirty Roofer gets on the road to this location later today.
Very nice.
Might already bumped into him once this week. But good times, man. And we are again in front of a live studio audience, semi-live. He made my breakfast today, so I have to let him watch the show. So good stuff.
Right. He can give you the live super chat, like just push money in front of your face.
Yeah, so instead of him giving us money for a super chat, he's just going to shout from the other side of the room.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I fully endorse the live super chat. Well done. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It should be noted that when he says he had a planning meeting, what he means is they killed a fifth of something probably very nice.
Yeah. Yes.
How
else would you do that?
Pretty much. Just kind of rocking along this morning, getting ready to start the serious business part of my week, and sitting here hanging out with you guys before I do it.
Very good, very good. It's good to have you. Appreciate you for being here. And Watcher, how's the Dusty West treating you?
It's it's good. I will say I had the very distinct and pleasant opportunity last night to be of help to a friend, and I don't want to go too deep into that, but I will say that if you get the opportunity, make yourself open and available to do so. There are a lot of friends out there who are going to be needing your help in the coming years, and you might be one of them who ends up needing help. And it's always best to pay that bill forward. So yeah, look out for your friends. Make sure everybody in your circle's doing okay, and try and keep people from drifting off.
Absolutely.
So. And another thing, gee, man, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they flipped on the CERN in reverse and sent us back into the good universe or anything, but there are signs everywhere, Scott, that maybe we've pulled back into the positive universe. Maybe
nature is healing.
Nature
right?
has begun to heal.
Yes. The abandoned Pizza Hut is being turned into a Pizza Hut.
That's
this is the good, wholesome content that I come here for.
That
I've
good
been,
ending.
I've been critical of Poso for a while. You know, not heavily critical, but generally critical. But I have to give him credit. He's the first person in the kind of you know, Twitter space that I saw that was absolutely a public advocate for bringing back these Pizza Huts, because one of the things that he noticed that is that a Pizza Hut, first of all, is an iconic building, and they're not changing them. Like they'll turn the Pizza Hut into a laundromat, but it'll still have that same roof, you know, profile and everything, right? It's not like they're re-roofing them. And so I think bringing these things back with the buffet, with the table games.
Well, and to that,
100%.
the Pizza Hut just announced that a couple of weeks ago, in fact, that they will be bringing back the buffet, and that they will be bringing back, at least in small measure, the arcade.
Well, you know, that's why this ties to future conflict, because there's future conflict over who gets to get the high score on Galaga, and who gets the last slice of the pepperoni pizza, just so they can carry. I mean, the pineapple pizza, so they can carry it over to the trash and throw it away where it belongs.
Those are the kind of drones I want to shoot down. I want to shoot down Galaga drones.
Truth in that, but I will say part of this is it's a sign that there is something going on that is as weird and corny as this sounds, that there is still resistance in the American spirit, and there is still a will to build.
This is the biggest return moment we've seen yet to date, right?
Yeah.
We all shout return, and this is it right here.
Well, I appreciate Job Well Done's idea here, combination Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, but let's be honest, they're always better on their own by themselves, not as some amalgamation of corporate greed, right?
That was a weird late 90s, early 2000s thing that I was never on board with. No, I was just going to say that, like, what this does, in my opinion, kind of feel like, weirdly, is you walk into like an ecosystem that's been just completely ravaged and that kind of thing, and you're doing the very first things to start rebuilding, and you see a frog, you just look, you know, there's a little amphibian down there hanging out. We might make it, boys.
Speaking of nature is healing, I have to point something out, that while Sean frequently gets very frustrated with me, he's currently wearing one of two of those shirts that exist. One of two.
What is it? What I couldn't see. What is it?
It's an Alice Dolio original that says Brodesia in camouflage.
I think I need one of those.
We'll make that happen.
Very good, very good. All right. You know, I appreciate that kind of what do we call that? Just a teaser, you know, for the real odds and ends. But today, the odds and ends are, let me just be honest, it's pretty much all Taiwan and South China Sea related, because there is a lot. So it's almost like a segment zero, right? All on Taiwan. Now, Jim may be popping in a little later in the show, so we'll get some thoughts from him on this if he does pop in. But I wanted to pull this stuff up. You know, Joe, sometimes we talk about fictional depictions of things, but it's usually they come up with these wazoo kind of scenarios and whatnot. But oddly enough, Taiwan, people who live in Taiwan are on the same wavelength as we are, because they have basically come up with a PLA begins a maritime blockade of Taiwan. Wow, that sounds oddly familiar. And this is a 10-episode TV series that's getting ready to come on in Taiwan. Basically, it's a blockade under the pretext of searching for a missing Y-8, which is an aircraft of theirs. They have just been released. The video is on the left, is a full 17-minute trailer. So we won't be watching the full one, but let's see. I think the third video is a 60-second one. Yeah. If you look at the third video on this, it's a 60-second trailer. There we go. That's the one. Let's watch. Let's go ahead and watch this. She's saying some Chinese things. I don't know what it is. If you want to know,
you guys have full audio.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying she has. I was just saying what she's doing.
It's really quiet on my end too, by the way.
Yeah, it is. But it's got subtitles, so the folks can read it.
当年遇见解放军。我是导游。那我们还要在这里报新闻吗？我们可以逃去哪里呢？在我的语言课上。完成和平统一。妈妈，你要平安。还没完。没有自由，就不是台湾。
I would not want to be on that hillside without good cover, overhead cover.
I don't know why they're still wearing their water camo.
That image actually is a great example of why camo needs to be effective. I mean, if Joe, if they didn't have that blue camo on, that's probably the reason why they did it for the TV show. Because if it was good camo, you wouldn't have been able to see them.
Right.
But anyway, it seems interesting. The premise. I have no idea what the story of is, kind of the greater character arcs or whatever, but it's definitely set against the backdrop of and hopefully it's it's realistic and not Pollyanna-ish, but definitely the idea of the blockade is out there, and it's good to see them having a realistic scenario versus some I don't know, zombie scenario or something like that, which is just they need to get ready for exactly what they're looking at on TV. All right, guys, any other thoughts on this? I mean, it looks pretty good actually, just from the trailer that I saw.
I was just thinking that I want to watch this show.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I didn't know that Stan was consulting with them, with the media company over there. So
I know, right? Oh, funny. Yeah. Anyway, I really want to. What I want to do is I want to have Jim watch this, and we'll do a review episode on the show at some point.
I'm really looking forward to though when the lesbian trans queen saves the day, because that's how it works now. In
make it gay, make it lame.
Joe, to the question of the chat, XL.
All right, got you.
All right.
The chat before that. Never mind.
What was it?
Never mind. No worries.
I was gonna have it made in a schmedium, but okay.
Oh, are you talking about the?
Yeah. You gave a WTF, and I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was to something else that I didn't. Anyway, all right. We'll I'm sure I'll see it later. All right, here's our next one here. Joe, we've talked about kind of watching the movements of fleets and ships and all this kind of stuff. And what we have here, and this is at the bottom of the thread, Watcher, if you want to go up to the top of the thread. So it's a pretty long thread on recent Russian and Chinese. So a fortnight of far-reaching naval activity in the Indo-Pacific. 18-plus Chinese and Russian Navy ships conduct joint exercises and patrols. The Shandong Carrier Group finished a 10-day drill east of Taiwan. PLA practicing amphibious operations with temporary pier and civilian ferry. The Navy has learned recently, or the Army has learned recently, that they need to brush up on their temporary pier game. Let's hope the Chinese don't make it look easy, but they probably will. Anyway, so we have this is a China-Russia combined naval force live fire drills. So these are just the kind of the ships that are listed. That carrier group is fairly robust. 8 ships in the carrier.
Would be interesting is to superimpose U.S. naval positions on that chart right there. Oh wait, they're already on there because there aren't any.
Well, we do have the RIMPAC going on right now. We'll talk about that here in a second.
But our ships involved in RIMPAC are off Hawaii right now. They're not at the Philippines right now. So,
This is correct, right? So it says here China's PLA Navy and the Russia Navy just completed a joint exercise and patrol last week in the South
It
China
might as
Sea,
well be on
East
the
China
moon
Sea,
if they're over in Hawaii. So
and Western Pacific. And so I didn't want to get too deep into any one of these things, but we had already mentioned this. This map was the one we showed. I think we talked about it last week, but I thought it was interesting just kind of look at the heavy amount of Western Pacific activity that's going on. And then once all this stuff is done, then RIMPAC kind of moves in, right? And starts to, so it's almost like, jousting exercises.
So up in Alaska, we've got the crew of a U.S. Coast Guard cutter Kimball detecting 3 Chinese vessels 124 nautical miles off the Mchitka Pass in the Aleutian Islands.
so in Russian waters, then.
I think this is midway. Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably split it different. That's exactly what we do when we do freedom and navigation patrols. If you watch, if you go down to the one that's got the satellite imagery on it, actually go back up. I think it is a little further up.
Yeah, this one.
Oh no, that's the first one. So go down in the thread. Keep going. Is that the one right there? No, that's not it. Keep going. Yeah, that's not the one I'm looking for. I'm sorry. It's the one where they're looking at all. It's a satellite imagery from all source A.
Okay, give me a second.
Actually, I'll just share the link since.
That would be easier.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Right. So this is interesting because this is the floating pier that we were just talking about. Analysts of GeoInt from 11 July to 14 July shows possible amphibious operations, including a roll-on, roll-off ferry and the deployment of military vehicles and equipment near Hugang and Dongshan Island, China. So essentially, this is a floating pier that they set up, which acts very much like the J-Lot system that we saw in.
You know why they're doing this, right?
Oh, to show us up.
Look, ours works.
Ours works, exactly right. The problem is now let's be honest. The Chinese did not pick rough sea. They picked the perfect location for their exercise, right? The problem with what we saw, it's kind of like the bridge, the river crossing, the gap crossing, and the Sava River in the beginning of the Bosnian War. It happened during a flood and it was a failure and people got fired because it's hard. When you have to cross a river today, you can't just go when the weather is perfect. You have to do it, in any capability. And J-Lots definitely doesn't work as well when you have heavy sea states and things like that you may not have enough.
Everyone assumes that they'll use a floating pier on the Straits side. I've always maintained that if they came around from the other side, the weather in the Strait doesn't matter.
Right. The other
That's
side
true.
is calmer, right, from the east.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some breaking news. Do we want to try and do it now, or do we want to do it after this story?
Well, drop it in the.
Okay.
It's just because if it's a 90-degree turn off azimuth, then we can just kind of dump it at the end of the odds and ends.
Okay, then we'll dump it at the end because it is.
All right, we'll do that. Okay. So the other one I wanted to the next one I want to talk about here is so RIMPAC. Like I said, all these Chinese things have just occurred and they're kind of in the process of wrapping up. And just as RIMPAC 24 is starting to get underway, maybe is the right answer. And so we've got some imagery out of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. We used the thumbnail image for these shots. So this is a multinational ship sailing in formation for on July 22nd off the coast of Hawaii during RIMPAC 24. 29 nations, 40 surface ships, 33 submarines, 14 national land forces, more than 150 aircraft, and and 25,000 personnel are participating in RIMPAC. So, I mean, they are clearly showing that this is a more of a multinational effort, and that this is, pretty broad range of capabilities and whatnot. But that being said, you're right, Joe. This is off of Hawaii right now. Now, my question is that do they sail them over to the Philippines, and that's where this is taking place? I'll be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot about naval stuff.
I'm sorry. Say that again. I was arranging the delivery of your shirt. Carry on.
No. I was just saying. So they're steaming from Hawaii over to the Philippines. What can we expect out of these types of?
So first of all, I said in the chat, go to sailing time calculator and figure out how long that takes. Right, and I went with 20 knots, which is very optimistic. A naval task force can only go as fast as the slowest ship, right? I know that carrier out front can do 40, 45 knots if it wants to, but it's got to do about 15 to 20 with the rest of those ships. So you can expect a long, slow sail because it takes a while. But they're going to be conducting airborne and amphibious ops. They're going to be conducting sea interdiction training. And I think they're blowing up a couple of old derelict ships of ours that we have set up as targets.
Yeah, I think there's one
SINKEX,
LAC
hooray!
and LPD.
I love a good SINKEX.
Yeah,
Supposedly they're doing a quick sink or whatever with 2 B-2 bombers.
Oh, is that the one where? Is that the one where we detonate one underneath the hull and then it just snaps it in half?
Well, I'm there. I saw an article on that earlier. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. And
I think that the idea, in all honesty, the idea of using strategic bombers on ships is a World War II idea that's actually going to go horribly in a modern sea engagement.
Yeah.
And B-52s in a hurry.
Let's be honest. If you look at the efficacy of those types of bombers, any type of high level bomber used against ships in World War II, you find that it's less than 1% of bombs landed on target.
It's also called the buff for a reason. Big, ugly, fat, whatever.
But I mean, in the modern context, aren't they really long range missile carriers, and they're firing at 300 miles away from the ships? And that
can be, completely depends on the loadout. Yes,
I know, but
that's not optimal though. You're wasting a lot of space when you haul missiles over bombs.
And with modern over the horizon radar, you have no surprise value in doing it that way. It just looks cool on video.
Honestly, if you want a missile truck, it makes way more sense to do.
Hey, it was also cool in Red Storm Rising. I'll have you know.
Yes.
B-2 stealth bomber demos.
That's the movie they ought to make, Red Storm Rising. Anyway,
I know that would be a great TV show. Quick sink, low cost maritime strike capability during RIMPAC 2024. So this is an article from the Aviationist.
Whenever you hear low cost, it means they're taking an old weapon system that doesn't work out very well and refitting it with some low cost piece of technology. Watch.
The U.S. Air Force B-2 Spirit carried out the quick sink demonstration during the second SINKEX of RIMPAC 24. This marks the very first time a B-2 Spirit has been publicly reported to test this anti-ship capability. And then they're sinking the USS Dubuque, which is LPD 8, and then the USS Tarawa, which is LHA 1.
Oh no way! We're sinking the Tarawa.
I know. I was equally sad, Monster, when they said that. When I saw the Tarawa in there, I was like, "Oh no!"
That was
history.
That was one of the classic, like what the flat tops, marine flat tops, right?
That's
why it's LHA 1, right?
Yeah, man, that's not cool. Well, no wonder the Navy wanted to get rid of it, though.
Well, it sounds okay. So my understanding is that they're not going all the way over the Philippines, and most of the stuff is happening off of Hawaii. Okay,
correct. That's why I said what I said about superimposing our ships, right?
Yeah. So I guess they're using the LRASM, which is a pretty capable platform, actually. During the SINKEX,
the reason for doing it off of Hawaii was to try and not be confrontational with China, which is a way to say, we already done lost.
Right.
Yeah, that's absolutely a political policy kind of message, right? And it's not what you'd call a strong message. It says here during the SINKEX of the X-Tarawa, U.S. Navy F-18F Super Hornet deployed a long-range anti-ship missile, or LRASM. This advanced stealthy cruise missile offers a multi-service, multi-platform, multi-mission capabilities for offensive anti-surface warfare, and is currently deployed with the F-18s, the B-1Bs. It doesn't say here. Oh, okay. So, and then you got that it's based on the JASM ER, which is another weapon.
A badly named missile.
Yeah, the JASM ER. And then so the quick sync. Let's
Like
do
the
this.
Marines can't fire this missile because they're laughing too hard.
I know, right?
Okay, hold on.
They're drawing
hold on.
penises on the side of it or something.
How much does an LRASM cost? Since they're touting it as low cost.
No. That's not the low cost option. That is the full service option.
Because one LRASM costs us $500 million a pop.
All right. Regarding the weapons guide, so this is what the B2 did, right? So regarding the weapon guidance, the Quink 6 kit combines a GBU-31B JDAM, which is cheap, a GPS-assisted inertial navigating guidance in the tail with new radar seeking installed in the nose, combined with an IR camera mounted in a fairing on the side. When released, the bomb uses the standard JDAM kit to glide to the target. And so it's basically our version, it's the gliding, guided bombs, which
I'm still back at trying to figure out
Hold on.
GPS assisted inertial guidance system.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. So that part's pretty easy. It's an inertial guidance system that's using a GPS because inertial guidance systems have a funny. Well, no, they've got this really funny thing that can happen that occasionally, if they lose power and then kick back on, they'll think they're at the exact opposite side of the planet, and then it can use the GPS to try and autocorrect and say, nope, here's where I'm supposed to be, right? However, the funny, hilarious thing to me about this is like the 30th attempt to do this, and we've touted it as being ready every time, and then we've dropped the bombs, and then they never quite hit how we want them to hit. So best of luck this time. I've been tracking this process, this project since at least when I was in.
If you could send me some links on that, I'd be interested in seeing that, because I have not encountered that.
I should be clear. I don't just mean the Navy. I mean, like, there have been projects in every single one to turn dumb bombs into ship killers since.
But technically,
forever.
Every inertial system is GPS assisted under that regard, because when we flew all of our planes by inertial systems, what did the pilots have to do? Look up on the wall, input their GPS coordinate where they are, and then the plane's computer did the inertial work. So I guess they're all GPS assisted.
I think in the old
check themselves though is the thing, and what this does is it double checks itself rather than a person having to get in the loop.
Yeah, but and the other piece that actually is encouraging is that imaging infrared camera, which would also be used to kind of, basically TV guided, like you've seen on some of these.
And if I'm understanding what this is correctly, based on other stuff that I've seen, I think this is the one that knows, that has infrared imaging of different ships and knows where we want it to hit on the ship.
Yeah, which ship to go after, right? Let's say previous Quink 6 demonstrations in 2021 and 2022 featured F-15E Strike Eagles deploying the modified 2,000-pound bombs. This marks the very first time a B-2 has been publicly reported to carry this. Considering a B-2 can carry up to 16 GBU-31s, this highlights a significant anti-surface firepower. I think that these bombs can glide up to 40 kilometers, which is pretty significant.
Okay, but I just fail to see. Okay, hold on. Let me back up 2 steps. What have modern navies become in the era post naval guns? they have essentially become the world's largest and most abundant anti-aircraft missile platforms.
Yeah, I was going to
Yes.
say when Scott pointed out the 40-kilometer thing, and I was going to say what it is well within the SAM envelope of literally every naval ship on the planet.
And that's essentially what ships are nowadays, is a way to project a don't fly zone.
Well,
With the exception of our aircraft carriers.
maybe that's the idea of using the B-2 as that would be a more survivable platform than say like an F-15 or something like that. Within
How
those,
high does the B-2? Hold on, let me look this up.
And longer range.
yeah, it's much longer range. Yeah. But here's the thing I always find really funny when it comes to all these kind of SINKEXs and things like that is in line with EPA guidelines before a SINKEX, the Navy thoroughly cleans the hulk, removing all materials that could harm the marine environment, including PCBs, petroleum, trash, and other hazardous material.
Yeah,
I mean,
they got all the oil out of an old ship, right?
So,
Guaranteed.
well, no. So they've touted this for a long time, where they've kind of proven that these become reefs. And so it's beneficial.
Well, but this is going down in 6,000 feet of. This is going out at 6,000 feet of water, so I don't think you're going to have a reef at 6,000 feet.
Well, speaking of,
what do you think on the bottom of 6,000 feet?
How high do you think the how high do you think the cruise altitude of the B-2 is?
Oh, I'd guess it's in the 30 to 40,000.
Yeah,
it's higher than jet plane.
Like
planes,
commercial liners, yeah.
Well, I mean, so it's technically possible of going up to 65,000 feet, which actually is not that much higher than a commercial airplane. In fact, there's commercial planes that go higher than that. So the interesting thing here is that the all of this is very well within basically any SAM envelope. So they must be hopefully relying on the stealth to not get targeted. I have never been comfortable with that game.
On stealth. But there aren't any commercial airliners that go over 50,000 feet.
Let me okay.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they usually
there's some that can, but they don't allow them to.
Yeah, cruise altitude here is 30 to 50. So, for the B-2, so same as a commercial.
Anyway, so and it'll just be interesting, and the higher you are, of course, the further these things will guide. It's just interesting to see this as a tool.
Well,
we saw.
I need before people. I don't want to move on from that without commenting on it, because people seem to think that flying high enough is still, guys. This isn't the Cold War anymore, or at least it's not the first version of the Cold War anymore. We have anti-aircraft missiles that will shoot down satellites. You cannot fly high enough to get away from anti-aircraft missiles anymore. You can't fly fast enough to get away from anti-aircraft missiles anymore. That's not a thing. That's why we very seldom use those systems that we still have that were built to do those things. Anyhow.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that in the 80s was supposed to bring in the age of modern missiles and all that kind of stuff, and and the death zone both for planes and for ships, right? But yet in the Falklands Island, Joe, the Argentine Air Force had tremendous success, literally dropping dumb iron bombs on British ships and sinking at least one, if I remember correctly, and doing significant damage to others. And so that's with a dumb bomb. So, I mean, this is extrapolating that to the modern age, but it's definitely something that can be done.
When you reach out past your logistics and run out of anti-aircraft missiles, you can get in trouble.
Yeah. And
who
all
knows
navies
what happened on May 1st of 1960? Anybody?
Nope.
Gary Powers got shot down.
Yeah.
How high up in the air do you think Gary Powers was when he got shot down?
Oh, he's like 70,000 feet, if I remember correctly.
And that was in 1960. So
with an SA-2, right? So
exactly.
I mean,
U-2, yeah.
No, I'm saying the
SA-2
the missiles.
Yeah. So,
100%. And they combined height with speed for the SR-71, and even that was only just right back in the day. So yeah, absolutely. Height is only good for them as it increased the loft of a weapon. Philip Coughlin, oh, sorry, you just pulled it off there. Philip Coughlin's airlines are 30 to 40K. I fly corporate-ish at 45-ish. I assume BP can go up to 60 if needed. Controlled airspace ends at 60,000 feet. Yeah, I think he's probably right about that.
Phil, I wish I could pull up your PFP. It has me interested. I see him in camis doing something. It looks like on a flight line or in a hangar. It's a hangar.
It's a hangar.
Well, we should move on because Ron says none of us are qualified to talk about air action. So
this is true. I mean, coming from Ron, that makes sense. So let me move on.
Well, I should retract one statement. We do actually have one system that is relatively safe from being shot down, but it's top secret. And
Starship.
Yeah, well, the X whatever it is. The
what is it? The SR-72, the airplane from Maverick, which
no.
find out might be real.
No. I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about what the basically the repurposing of the shuttle program that's now a drone.
Oh, the X-37. Yeah.
The X-37 is the exception to that rule, sort of.
Though I think the Starship would be pretty tough for somebody to shoot down. I mean, tough. Yeah, not impossible, but tough.
Do I have the right one for the next one?
Yeah. This is right. So, Joe, to your point, right? Of interest, of all the places that we could be sending a carrier battle group, we are not sending one to the South China Sea. So this is the current locations of U.S. Navy's deployed carrier strike groups as of July 22nd, 2024. There is no U.S. carrier group in the South China Sea. The USS America LHA-6 amphibious group is in port in Okinawa, Japan. The Carl Vincent is taking part in RIMPAC over in Hawaii.
Apparently, and then you got according to that map, they have moved Okinawa. They apparently attached a motor to the back of Okinawa.
Yeah. Okinawa is at the other end of is the island off the other end of Japan. But
so
yes,
when people make mistakes like this on a map, I question their naval institutability.
This is also not Hawaii. If you look, I think Hawaii is off the map here.
Hawaii is way farther away than that. Yeah,
I think they've chopped off a big piece of the map here.
What's the Blue Ridge?
The Blue Ridge is a command ship.
Blue Ridge is the sister ship to the Mount Whitney. So,
what's it doing out there in the Strait of Malacca?
Anti-pirate operations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they're running the what is it? What do you call it? The anti-pirate task force. Philip Coughlin's. Look, is he flexing on us here? I think he is. These super chats currently are coming to you via SpaceX internet from 43,000 feet over awesome. Texas. Look at you. What kind of airframe are you flying, Philip? I'm just curious.
Yeah, well.
I always get recommended on YouTube the shorts from that jet business guy, who sells private jets and all that kind of stuff. So I can look at jets that I can never afford.
About the map.
This map was made and checked by the U.S. Secret Service. Hail Stormy, good morning.
Actually, I think Hank Johnson had some input, and they put a couple outboard motors on the back of Okinawa and moved it.
I think she's got a point. If you'll notice, everything's in the flat areas.
Yeah, nothing on the slopey spots.
Oddly enough, I think we've actually got a picture of Philip Coughlin's coming to us live from him. Let me share that here. Yes.
Operation Trident, finger wagging. Very nice one, Cholo. Very nice.
We've got a live view of him flying his Lear 35 over Texas right now. Clearly, he is way above the rest of us. Sorry. All right.
I wonder. I'm sure
did it tip over?
Maybe they just put it inside a bubble, like the whole thing inside a bubble or something. But my brain goes like, how do you? They have a SpaceX antenna on there. They've got to move to track the satellite.
Well, but you got to remember, it's like bubbles of coverage, right? So you basically it goes from one bubble of coverage to the next, right?
Well, yeah,
So
yeah,
it,
but
Cell phones
receiver
too.
does. Oh yeah, I forgot they're gonna do the cell phones too. Yeah, they must be getting coverage thick enough that they can just continuously hit it.
I mean, what are they? 4,000 satellites now. I mean, it's I guess that Elon Musk is a smart guy and has figured that problem out.
It's funny because multiple people I know, including myself, were saying that this was going to come to cell phones a long time ago, back when he was still like, "Oh no way, that could never work." We're all like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right. Before we go on to the next and last story in the odds and ends, still, by the way, in the South China Sea. If you guys haven't done it already, please like the video. Give that a big thumbs up over on YouTube or Rumble, wherever you're watching it. 157 folks watching over on Rumble. And what are we doing on YouTube? Our YouTube numbers have been pathetic here in the last little bit. Oh, 89. Not bad. It's better than average here lately. Oddly enough, since the assassination, all of our videos have done more than 1,000 views on YouTube lately. It's shocking. People are interested in doing it. So even though we're talking about controversial stuff, our numbers are up. So that's kind of interesting.
Remember, Joe, also adjust the trim to help the island get on the plane.
Yeah, you got to get it going fast enough that the front end comes up, then it won't tip over.
Yeah.
Technical wisdom. Boat
Stormy, I
islands
told you that in confidence.
nice. Real quick. Derna for $5 says this whole naval exercise business is like practicing BJJ for a Mossberg fight. Our only real opinion is mad. Yeah, our really option is mad. Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
That is well stated.
Well, I came. There's another story that I came up with that I'm not going to bring it up, but I'm going to refer to it. That essentially China has called for the U.S. to adopt a second strike only nuclear posture and basically pull back the nuclear umbrella from any of our treaty allies, i.e., Taiwan and Japan and things like that. Which I found to be kind of like keep dreaming, China. And that just goes to show that China ultimately, they could be tough in their region, but they still fear our nuclear arsenal. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. I don't know, but it's still a thing. All right, let's look into this this last story here. Let me pull it up on my screen. Beijing and Manila made a deal in the South China Sea, but they're already at odds over what was agreed. So this kind of goes back to if you remember on Friday, was it Friday or Monday? I think it was it Monday?
It was Monday.
Yeah, if you remember on Monday, we reported this story, but there was the Chinese were hinting at certain things, but didn't say anything specific. And the Philippines kind of said, well, we really didn't say this. And so this is clearly starting to blow up a little more. An interim deal to smooth deliveries of Philippine Marines marooned to a ship is a hotly disputed reef in the South China Sea. That's its second Thomas Shoal. Fears of a conflict with global implications have risen over the recent months following a series of increasingly violent clashes between Chinese and Coast Guard vessels, which we have covered here on the Future Conflict channels. Following de-escalation talks, Manila and Beijing both said they had reached an agreement of provisional arrangement on the resupply of necessities to the Philippine Marines stationed aboard the BRP Sierra Madre, without either side conceding their maritime claims. But analysts were skeptical about whether or not the temporary deal would hold after two sides provided conflicting details of what their agreement entails. Here's what you should know. Thank you, CNN, for letting us know that you are going to let us what we need to know. Neither Manila or Beijing has released the text of the temporary agreement, which is that's kind of weird to me that they would release it unless there's some things in there they're not happy about. On Sunday, let's see. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said Monday that Beijing had agreed to allow Manila to resupply personnel to the Sierra Madre with living necessities in a humanitarian spirit. Of course, the Chinese are famous humanitarians. Those resupply missions could only take place if the Philippines informs China in advance and after on-site verification is conducted. This is where I would tell them to eat a dick, I think. China will monitor the entire resupply process. So the idea that
the Philippine Foreign Affairs guy kind of did. So he did it in a nice way, but he did.
In a very nice way. That's exactly right. The Philippines Department of Foreign Affairs said in a statement on X, and I think we read this one on Monday, but that the country would continue to assert its rights in the South China Sea without comprising national positions. Therefore, the Chinese statement regarding prior notification and on-site confirmation is inaccurate. The Philippines made the deal in good faith and was ready to implement it and urged China to do the same. I tell you what, man, the Sierra Madre, man, that is a rough looking. This needs to be a thumbnail at some point. I think, Watcher. We need to find the right day and the right. That is a rough looking son of a gun.
Looks like a couple of our destroyers look right now.
I know. They still has more paint. Joe. Of course, Beijing. I mean, this is a little background, but Beijing claims indisputable sovereignty over almost all of the 1.3 million square miles of the South China Sea and most of the islands and sandbars within it. And of course, this kind of goes back to it. But I just wanted to get your guys' take. Where do you think this is going? I think this might be. At first, I thought this was China kind of dialing it back a little bit, but they literally reneged on the initial deal immediately by putting that additional language into their public statement and forcing the Philippines to basically call their bluff.
Well, this was also after the Philippines Coast Guard issued a new use of force directive 2 weeks ago that said we will meet their force with equal force. If we are attacked with knives and axes, we will fight back with knives and axes. And this is after they lost a finger to an axe attack. And if there was ever a group of folks that you didn't want to knife and axe fight with, it is the Filipinos.
It is Filipinos, yeah.
I would say even like more specifically Filipino fishermen. Like you want to talk about guys who came up in a hard life. Jesus Christ.
So I want to point out, though, we can't let this go by. When we had that photo of the ship up, Stormy said it's the Joe Biden of ships, and she's never been more right. If Joe Biden was a ship, this is what he would look like.
You know what? Hold on. I'll be honest.
Except he'd be underway.
Well, I was going to say, hold on. You know what it's meant? If
he'd be under tow.
If you want to know what the roughest hardship
CNN
is,
anchors holding it up on each side.
You know what the biggest hardship is for the Filipino Marines on board here? It's not the food and the sun and the constant threat of the Chinese.
Tetanus.
It's trying to resolve the two biggest naval issues of our day. It's not gay if you're underway, and it's only queer when you're at the pier. They're kind of in between both. So,
although
I was thinking the tetanus risk.
Yeah, Joe's being hilarious, but I'll be real funny. From what I've seen, the actual biggest risk of living aboard this thing is just walking around trying to do your daily thing on a catwalk or literally on any deck of the ship, and suddenly it fucking collapses beneath you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could you imagine, Joe, if this thing came under fire? I mean, you'd be getting it coming and going. I mean, just the splinters alone from all that rusty metal would be a nightmare.
Of course, they would look better than me in eyeshadow, Derna, because I don't wear eyeshadow. It's very simple.
Oh, Joe, you too soon. All right.
Oh, here we go. Another one.
Very good.
Hey, look, one porthole still has some glass in it.
I tell you what, I would not want to be on.
Yeah.
I was going to say I would not want to be in any of the interior spaces on this ship. It's got to be hot AF and 100% humidity all year long. I mean,
Yeah,
in
well,
that
it's
area.
got the good Filipino air conditioning. Holes in the
Yep.
deck.
Yeah, the holes, the rust holes provide for ventilation. Absolutely. All right, Joe, real quick before we talk about tactical-wisdom.com, let's talk about Shield Field Days.
Shield Field Days. Hey, there are a lot of folks signing up. Get signed up, man, so that we know how many people to expect. We can plan some things for you. We've got some good times happening. I'm walking the property today to kind of get it all set up. I took Bill here on a little bit of a tour of it. It's a pretty darn sweet place. It's going to be a great event. Proceeds benefit the Northwest Montana Veterans Food Pantry. And for the vendors who are signing up, rather than us taking the money and trying to figure out how to get money to Linda, we're just going to have y'all pay directly to the charity that runs the site when you get here. You just hand a check directly to Linda. That way there's no middleman and no one can say we took a cut. So we're trying to do everything we can to make this thing a big charity benefit to service the veterans here in the area. And we're going to take some nice hikes out in the woods and check out the beautiful scenery. We're going to hang out and have some good chats and good talks from a lot of really cool people, some big names. And I think I'm hanging out with each other in just an absolutely gorgeous part of the country. Come join us, man. And do so. Sign up quickly so that we know you're coming and we can get ready for you. I think the rooms are pretty close to being sold out. So there is plenty of camping space, but we might be running short on rooms. So
Yeah.
And there are a lot more RV sites than there were. So get your RV site in. It's filling up too already.
My dad asked me about all the details, like when I'm flying in and where this place is at and all that kind of stuff. Now, he didn't confirm that he's coming, but he did ask. So,
well, I guess that I'll make that happen because he listens to me more than he does you. So
that's true.
I'm gonna text him personally today.
Well, as a good son, you never want your father around, like when you're misbehaving or anything like that. So.
The only hang up on your T-shirt, I'm being told, is that the power is currently out in Detroit. So as soon as the power comes back on, Scott, you get a shirt made and overnighted here. So she's working for you, man.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. That's a fun shirt. And the great thing about that shirt is 90% of people out there won't get it. Right. So it's a kind of a if you know type of deal.
I got a patch for you that matches it, by the way. So.
I like that we accidentally skipped over the third world status of Detroit.
Yes,
what I won't skip over is Stormy's comment here. Joe doesn't wear eyeshadow because crayons don't work on skin.
I disagree because camouflage face paint is nothing more than melted crayons. So
true. Now, real quick, we did in fact say Detroit. Just saying.
But listen though, for all jokes aside, when I do decide to put on the eyeshadow and war makeup, first of all, I'm pretty darn good at it, and two, it's a bad time about to happen. So if you want me to wear eyeshadow, I will, but it means bad things are happening. So do the whole face cameo. So.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
come on out here. We've got a lot of fun things planned. We actually went out, scouted out the area, and did a couple things. We're going to pick up Scott at the airport. That's fun. And then go from there.
Cannon, I mean, I'm sure we got space for you, brother, if you want to come out for Shield Field Days. I mean, you're never going to find a more hospitable group of folks. So, just saying.
Bring a second liver.
Yeah,
that is probably not bad advice.
I'm just saying.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I kind of. Never mind. I won't say it. All right. Now let's talk a little bit. Oh yeah. Let's do the breaking news piece. Yeah. Sorry. I thank you for reminding me, Watcher.
So apparently, Joe Biden.
I saw
a statement this evening. This afternoon.
Televised statement, and they've decided to put up the barricades around the White House in order to do it because I guess they're worried about the,
Gee,
who are they worried about? pro-Palestinian protesters,
Who
maybe?
would
I don't
possibly
know.
protest a televised speech, right?
Is it an AI deep cheap fake speech?
Now, Watcher, does this say anything about the Capitol? Because I heard somebody say they were putting stuff back up at the Capitol too.
This is the Capitol.
This is the White House.
Well, yeah, it's
That's
the
the
White House,
White House
but
fence.
if you look at where it goes all the way down the street to the Capitol building.
No, this is the
So there-
this is the street on the north side of the White House.
Oh,
This
is it?
just one block?
Okay.
Yes.
I thought this was south side.
The Capitol is like 2 miles away from the White
What?
House.
It's not like
About a mile and a half.
Really?
It's about a mile and a half.
Okay,
Yeah,
mile and a half. I was
straight down the road.
Yeah, I thought it was right down the road.
Yeah. It's
And they
literally
stare
this
at each
road,
other.
to the right. If like, so you're looking down the left. If you play the going down, keep going that way. That way is the Capitol.
Okay. I mean, that fence is wow. That is a big damn fence. Because it's going all the way through the end of that block too.
Well, what it's doing is there's I don't know, if you look at the imagery, it would make more sense. There's basically the White House is one big block, and it's probably going all the way around that.
Yeah.
And the odd thing is there is a fence already around the White House. This is just giving you space between the actual White House fence and any protesters that would be in that. What is it? What's the park? I can't remember the name of the park across the way.
The mall? The National Mall?
No, the National Mall's to the south of the White House, nearby the Washington Monument.
The one next
Isn't it Lafayette Park? The one that they renamed BLM Park?
Yeah, that's the one that's right across from the north, just north of the White House. Yeah, see, there we go.
So
Chad was not as fast as Sean.
So I wonder what the speech might be about.
You know, I don't remember them having a special fence around. I know, did they? I guess they did have a fence around the White House during the 2020 protests, didn't they?
No.
It was just
No.
yeah. You're right. It was just like a kind of a rail, like a pedestrian barricade, more so than an actual fence. It was like waist
Not
high.
at first, anyway. They also didn't the first time that these Palestinian protesters showed up, and then they started doing it.
Yeah. All right. When you are expecting rioting groups of rampaging leftist, revolutionary communists, you need to have a little tactical dash wisdom in your life. Joe, what's happening on tactical dash wisdom? Now you're teaching a class, so I mean you've got the live version of the book happening at Camp
Absolutely.
Ponderosa.
So Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this week, we're going to be doing the Community Security Operations class, which is based on Tactical Wisdom 3, Defensive Operations. There are still a couple slots left. We had some folks sign up last night, but there are still a couple spaces left. If you want to come on out and practice how to defend like a neighborhood or a site or something from looters, rioters, bad folks in general, government agents, Chinese government, not U.S., Chinese. I don't want Ron to get all upset. And just how to secure an area from bad folks doing bad things and keep it safe. And quite honestly, we talk a lot in the course about doing it in conjunction with your local sheriff's department, so they know you're on the up and up and you're not doing silly things, right? So we talk a lot about the legal basis and how to coordinate that right, and get all that going. And that class is going to be going on over the weekend. Hold on, I got to answer a question in the chat. So anyway, that class is going on this weekend. We got a bunch of folks signed up. It's going to be a great time. A lot of them are staying right here on the site. Going to hang out and enjoy that. I'm going to be writing an article though on something Bill and I did on the way out here. We ran a convoy using our GMRS radios to communicate and stay in touch, and kind of a great way to practice doing that, right? Making sure that your things work. We actually drove the route that would be our evacuation route from Southeast Michigan out to points west as a test, making sure we could do it and not hit any urban areas and all that. And the biggest urban area we hit was Fargo, North Dakota, which is not a very big one at all.
Yeah.
Followed then by Great Falls, Montana. Again, not a very big one at all. So pretty solid route choice, and we had a good time doing that. But we're going to talk about the need to actually get out and do a long distance move, a couple hours, 4 hours, whatever, using your radios to practice them, and the information you can gather along the way. So absolutely good time. We're going to write that article this week and put it out. We actually learned some limits of our gear and all that stuff. And you know what? Another article that's going to come out after that is that Bill and I really went out and pushed our limits the other day. We went to Painted Canyon, and we're stubborn old men. And instead of taking the long way around, going up and down hills, we're like, no, we're just climbing that and going over. And we climbed up and over the top of a pretty legit wall with no gear. Old guys rock climbing usually leads to ambulance rides, but we didn't take any ambulance rides, and we had fun doing it. But you have to get out and test yourself and push yourself and go a little further than you think you can. And so that's getting ready. Sitting at home thinking about what you're going to do is not getting ready, right? Getting out and actually doing the things. So we had a great time. We took some great pictures. Ironically, despite all of the signs that say "do not approach buffalo," we totally approached buffalo and got pretty darn close. And we just had a great time. So we're going to talk about that on an article and how you need to get out and actually practice the skills that you're learning and continue to do them.
I can confirm you're a stubborn old man.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone who disputes this, but in case, there it is. Yep, it was easier walking down at the bottom of the hill, but it was much shorter to just go over the top, and we did it. So we had a good time.
All right. Very good. Very good. Very good. Anything else before we jump into our first topic of the day, gentlemen? It's because this is a doozy. This is one of those assassination talk shows.
Stormy's over here admitting my secret perks for attending classes.
Let's spread the good news. Toes picks, of course. Yeah, I can only imagine what Joe and Stormy's signal feed looks like.
Boxes. Hold on, I have to just for the person who sent these, because I know you're watching the show. For the record, the cases and cases of crayons, so that I don't go hungry at this event, are still here in the room. I think we got 5 cases of crayons here in the room, so we're in good shape.
If you go out to this event and Joe says he wants to go place field game cameras with you, bring splints, because he will just walk over every ankle breaking terrain ever.
Yes.
Well, and my understanding is that he is also bringing back the glorious tradition of the snipe hunt, to take place in the PM hours of at night. Unfortunately, Joe uses a thermal imager during his snipe hunt, so it gives him an advantage. All right. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheetos resigns after Trump shooting security lapses. You know, guys, after watching her in front of that congressional committee, wow. I mean, she was getting it from AOC. AOC basically said, "Hey, listen, lady, the most popular weapon in America is the AR-15. It has 150 meter range. You know, why didn't the security perimeter at least go out that far so that AR-15s wouldn't be a significant threat to the former president?" When AOC is asking Joe Biden's Secret Service chief that, you done fucked up.
So a lot of this, I'm sorry, but a lot of this was theater. Some
100%, but there was some legitimate stuff there too.
Some of this was Congress critters realizing for the second time ever that they could be touched and not liking it. But a lot of this was theater. She, Mayorkas basically told her to go up there and stand on the landmine and wait for it to go off. And now she gets her $50,000 a year retirement from the Secret Service, and yeah, off in the sunset, and there will be no actual punishment.
I guarantee you, she gets a lot more than $50,000 a year.
Oh yeah, she'll get
I'm sure she had a previous one that they're not talking about, but just for this stint, it's a $50,000 a year.
Yeah, thank you, Cannon. Using my favorite analogy for what she did. She fell on her sword. Exactly right. Here we go, and we got a little grumpy Ron to talk about federal agents falling on their sword. Ron, good morning.
Yeah, what do you want? Grumpy.
Get off my lawn, you damn.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. No.
So, yeah, Ron, what was your take on? So, two pieces to this, right? What was your take on the firing squad that she saw when she went in front of the Congress the other day? And then, second, what do you think of her resignation?
Well, her resignation. I'll answer it in reverse. Her resignation is way overdue. I mean, if Mayorkas had a shred, which he doesn't, we know, of decency, he would have, to protect the president and the administration, he would have fired her. Just in a lickety split second. Probably the first business day. But her testimony in front of Congress showed how either woefully slow and incompetent the investigation is going, or how woefully incompetent she truly is, because she didn't come across as a competent administrator, leader, manager of the Secret Service. She came across as a political flack. It's sort of like Pete Buttigieg talking about maritime stuff, ships or railroads or other, but we do know that asphalt is racist, so never mind.
Cannon says she fell on her sword. They're going to say mistakes were made, and the kid was a long shooter. This is going to go the way of Vegas. Mayorkas needs to be brought up in charges.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let me just point out that you cannot become a long-range sniper in 3 days of shooting training. It's just.
I know that's why that's just what they're going to claim, though, right?
That's not true.
No, totally. He's 100% right. But my point to everyone else is don't fall for that story, right? In that narrative, he did not make himself a long-range shooter in 3 days.
But I got Tactical Wisdom Volume 8 that says long-range shooting for dummies. Come on now.
You're the only person who has that book, Ron. Hint, hint.
Well, I'm beta testing it for you.
You're beta, that's for sure.
Hey,
Shots
let me ask.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. You think you're winning, dude? Huh?
Let me ask you guys this, right? So let me pose this question to you. So she was essentially on the close protection detail of Dick Cheney and Joe Biden, right? Now, she got some administrative experience in the civilian world after the Obama administration. What makes her qualified to be the head of an entire federal law enforcement? I see nothing in her resume that set her up for that kind of even some managerial position within the protected detail of, say, Vice President Biden at the time.
Couldn't be her close proximity to Jill. That would be absurd.
That's exactly what it was.
So right, this is a setup for you guys to answer, right? So she's a political appointee.
Yes.
The answer to that I cannot say on a family friendly show, judging by the rumors about her and Jill.
Oh, come on now.
Supposedly.
Well, Jesus. Every time women take pictures together, everybody automatically goes, "Oh my God, they're lesbians." So just, come on. It's the way Washington works, Scott, and everybody. It's the nearness to power and your ability to schmooze, and I'm going to use the word in a brown nosing to suck up to power. And hey, by the way, gee, I'd sure like to be the director of, pick your agency. And yeah, you're a good person. And now who controls who? And who controls that agency?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's absolutely the wrong call. You need to pick somebody from inside the service to the Secret Service to head the Secret Service. Usually, I mean, in the Tom Clancy books, it's usually the former guy in charge of the Presidential Detective Detail. But hey, what do I know?
Before we get too far down the rabbit hole, I want to go back and we're caught up in YouTube, but I want to get the couple. I missed 2 super chats over on Rumble. Rowan Court for $1 says, from my sources, the fence going up around the White House is because of an elementary school tour. Elementary school is doing a tour. It's to keep Joe Biden away from the kids.
Nice. Nice.
And then the other one is Peter Shay's helicopter tours for $5. Joe, can you make sense as to why the Secret Service weren't recording comms? Yeah, this is another kind of
literally physically impossible. There's
I
no
was
way.
gonna say, that's a
Hold on a
lie.
second. Let me
because they
finish the
were.
super chat first, and then refusing to link in with local PD and setting them up to fail or take the fall. This is a clear setup through indifference. I don't know that it's indifference, but that's the kind of.
So those comm recordings exist. They're somewhere because of the way in which the radio system, the P25 radio system they use works. It's always recorded. If the P25 system is turned on, it is recording. It is just that simple.
In more than one place.
I'm sorry.
In more than one place. Well,
in more than one place at each site, actually, each tower used. So they would have been recording it simply for the purposes of administration. If somebody screwed up, they want to be able to say, well, listen, here's the audio of what you said over the air and back and forth. The idea that was not operating that day is ludicrous and is an obvious cover-up, and they think you'll fall for it. That audio recording is there. The sheriff's department will have their own audio recording, even though they were only running traffic. The Pennsylvania State Police will have its own audio recording of its channels, who actually did the most work in trying to identify and deal with the sniper. And the Secret Service would have those recordings in multiple locations.
Or literally anybody running a tiny essay that day. And yes, you're going to say, but the traffic was encrypted. Yes, but if you caught the traffic, you have literally from now until the stars burn out to decrypt it.
Or you provide it to them and say, I know you didn't have it, but here's you actually can't. I don't think you could decrypt the audio channel. You could decrypt the data channel, but not the audio channel.
True.
But because the audio is like real time, right? It changes your voice back and forth. But but honestly, it's out there. But first of all, if I could detect it with a tiny SA, I can record it. So that's a good point. But it's out there. The Secret Service has a clear audio recording. There's no way they don't. Ron, do you agree or disagree?
No, I agree. I mean, the whole thing just stinks. It's like Rosemary Woods with her famous stretch erasing the Nixon tapes. It's sorry. What am I doing too much history because I'm such an old fart?
No. It's just apt.
It is.
What I was going to ask you, Ron, is like, you weren't in the Secret Service, but you were in a service that absolutely keeps records and all this kind of stuff. Is it feasible at all that somehow there is no recordings of this, in your opinion? I mean, we heard what Joe said. I trust Joe.
If there is, it was a deliberate decision by somebody in the food chain up high to do the hit the erase button or hit the delete button or however you want to do it. But it's just the problem is with that, and what because it isn't. The recordings exist. There's got to be somebody in the Secret Service that's still like, hey, I'm really here to do my job and not be a political hack. I mean, if everybody in that food chain, from the agents on the ground, whether they were HSI, Rent-A-Pinkerton cop, or actual Secret Service people, all the way up to the former director, if they're all political hacks, then we've got big issues in the federal government.
I think it's a combination.
Obviously, being recorded is that The Secret Service's job is also to detain and prosecute attackers.
Yeah.
And the audio is a key piece of that evidence, right?
Right.
Of what happened in their response to it. There's literally no way it doesn't exist. And I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say that no one has deleted these recordings. Someone has them in a desk drawer as a card to play later on when they need a political favor.
Yeah. Well, and if somebody did delete recordings or whatever, that would be the most obvious indicator or evidence of a cover up that you could possibly come up with. I mean, you just couldn't get stronger evidence for something along those lines.
Well, I'm going to have to run. However, I will agency.
Oh, that was quick. Go ahead.
Nice.
You will say what?
I will say that, Ron, it's good to see that your agency still knows how to climb a slope roof. And with that, I will see you guys on Friday.
That was cold, man. Cold.
Bye.
Well, but it's true. I mean, we've seen that slope roof, and there's a 70-year-old man walking around on that massively sloped roof.
All those congressmen coming up on the roof and taking their own videos to beam back to their constituents. Give me a breath. I mean,
it's theater, but it's true.
Yeah, but
right?
it's way true. And then of course, lots of I love Twitter because Twitter universe grants so many degrees. I mean,
everyone's an expert. Yeah,
everyone's an expert. Gosh darn, everyone's a PhD in whatever the subject of the day is. But yeah, it's now everybody's a shooting expert, and you actually listen to the real people who've done long range shooting like Clay Martin and things like that. Yeah, there you go. I mean, there's some expertise out there, but it gets buried in all the chaff type stuff.
Well,
anyway,
speaking of shooting and doing cool stuff, I know this is off topic a little bit, but Ron, there was a very drippy photo of you that popped up the other day. I think was that the MI8 picture? Is that?
Yeah, one of them. I put it out there.
That was a pretty cool pic.
Thank you. Yeah,
I don't know that I had seen that one before. It's kind of it's one of those if you know kind of pics, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that bird in the picture is now sitting outside the agency headquarters. Where nobody can see it except agency employees.
Right.
But it was it was a fucking great bird.
I want to see if I can find it real quick. Here's the thing, Ron. I mean, back in the day when you were on the show all the time, we introduced you and kind of laid out what your background is. But I think a lot of the people watching the show now, you're just this grumpy old man from South Dakota that comes and tells us to get off his lawn.
I yell at clouds.
Exactly right. And I thought this would just be a kind of I wanted to give you a little kudos by sharing this image. Here, hold a second. I got it right here. This is our friend of the channel, Max Morton, was sharing this the other day.
Right.
And I think I may have seen this a while back, but it had been a while, so I was reminded of this. So there's a crusty old Black Hills guy right there in an MI8.
No, that's Max. That's Max in
Oh, this is Max. I thought this was the picture of you. Where's the picture of you?
Max. No, that's Max.
But that's that same fucking MI8. Isn't
that's
it?
Max over there too.
Well,
this is Max right here.
Yeah, but that's Max too. That's not me. That's Max in the photo. He was.
No, where was your
off.
picture? Because I saw
where he posted that picture. I responded and attached a couple of photos of my own.
There's one. I even did some analysis on that photo.
Stop it! There will be no analysis.
Analysis, yes.
Analysis.
Let's see. Let me. I'll find the thread on that one because I want to find that picture because I want to share.
There you
Not
go.
that
Click
one.
that.
But it's on the thread, right?
I remember it was on his aviation picture. So.
Okay, I'll go back to that one then. Yeah. But that was a reply. Fuck, it's just so hard to find all this shit on. So many people post so much.
Well, Well, when you're unprepared, you know.
I know. I'm doing it on the fly. That's true.
That's all right.
Let's see here. Yeah, there we go.
See, there it is. Not as
huh?
keep
Yeah, that's
going down.
Yeah,
Right.
and then you. I thought yours was on
It
this
is.
one, on
It
the
is.
font. Where the fuck is it? I don't know. You posted it, so let me
Yeah,
get
go into
your
replies.
Yeah.
Now everybody can see my mean, nasty replies.
Yeah, no. Ron, by the way, if you're not following OGA underscore Ron on X, you're missing the height of hilarity, and you go pretty hard in the paint on some folks from time to time. All right, so that's not the one here. Good Lord, I've never.
No, you were.
It's been
You're
so
moving
hard.
way too fast. Well,
You actually had a reply of Mike's to Ron's photo on the screen.
yeah, you
So
could
scroll
have
down.
clicked on.
Yeah, this one here.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's one of your pictures.
Yeah, that was January 02, flying into Kabul.
Kabul, right? Yeah. I was gonna say it almost looks like 2021 Kabul.
Yeah. And let me tell you, Bagram didn't look much better, but oh my God, it was.
Oh, there we go. There's the.
Yeah, there's the original. It's my baby.
Those are good helicopters, actually.
They are.
Man, they are unbelievable. Like we were scrapping. They started scrapping some of the Mi-8 shells that were on Habaniya because there were a bunch of old stripped out ones, and they said get off of them, don't touch them, and then they ended up whisking them off on a C-130 from TQ because I guess they went off to parts unknown to be refurbed or something.
Yeah.
Or sold.
So when we got that. Oh yeah, and they sold them to the Air Force for their gray air. When we bought that helicopter, we bought a specifically with an upgraded engine, an Mi-8 MTV. No, it's not music television, but it had a high altitude engine that the Soviets when they designed it had built to operate at higher altitudes. So during Operation Anaconda and prior to and afterwards, I had a lot of NATO and U.S. recon teams, sniper teams, whatever. Hey, dude, can you put us up here because the MH-47s can't reach that high?
Can't get up there, right?
No, and so and this is in the middle of Anaconda, and an Air Force One star who was like the special ops aviation dude in charge. He's in the book. His photos in the book Robert's Ridge and A Good Day to Die. He's got the big bouffant hairdo type thing. Anyways, I don't remember his name, but he came up to me in the talk, and where I'm sitting there, and he starts chewing my ass out like I'm an E1, third day of basic training, like I can't stand on the yellow footprints or whatever. And he is chewing my ass out in public and everything like that. And I get up and I look at him, and he's a little shorter than me. I pretty much eye to eye, and I say, "Well, gee, sir, if you guys could support the mission, then I wouldn't have to." And then I just, well, no, I'm sorry. I was not going to sit there and be told to stand down and not support the mission. I mean, we're in the middle of Anaconda. I mean, it's not like this is not time to play. My dick is harder and bigger than yours. It's we had a mission to accomplish, and those were our high tech door gunners.
I would have handed the dude a little package of burn gel after that one. Like, hey man, you're gonna need this.
No, but the NAVSOC guy, the SEAL Master Chief, who was sitting next to me at the next workstation, he just looks over and kind of gives me the low high five, like, dude, rock on, man. Because I guess the guy was a real dick. He would tell these guys, because he was not. The problem was, we were transitioning from exercise to, hey, we're really at war now. And he, like, oh, the paperwork, you got to dot these I's and cross these T's, and it'll take 48 hours to vet the requirement to fly this sniper recce team along one of the rat lines so we can prevent the Al Qaeda dudes from exfilling from Anaconda out, back to Pakistan. And like, no, we got to be tactically flexible. So, shit, we were doing 2-3 missions a night, getting these guys to where they needed to go. So, fuck him.
Is this another one of your guys?
Yeah.
MI8.
Yeah. The MI8 you can tell because it has the clamshells removed. We flew without the clamshells, and then the MI17, which is what Max was flying, had the ramp, right? So that's a clue for all you aviation people.
And these are U.S. civilian numbers on here, aren't they?
Why, yes,
registration
of course.
numbers.
Ron will neither confirm nor deny that.
Well, if you see an N aviation number, it's a U.S. registration number. Sure, we just went to the computer and said, "Hey, give us an N number." No, I'm kidding. It was all legit.
You can get those at rentahelo.com.
Yeah.
No, those were good times. Good times. Long hours, 20-hour days. Fuck. Oh God.
Well, that was kind of, that was I hate to say it, but that was the wild, wild west. Here we go.
Oh yeah, it was.
Let's see. Yes, here we go. This is.
I was still hoping that we would show the Pakistani photo of Ron.
Oh, stop!
But no.
Well, I mean, if we're not trying to make Ron look bad, but
no, Ron looks good in the photo. That's the whole point.
I don't know. Judging by the reaction of other people, they didn't. His flattering side didn't get captured. So
yeah,
you want me to get you?
I didn't do it that time. Watcher.
No,
did.
you didn't. You didn't. Oh God. Well, okay. Well, so Watcher, I do have an answer for you on your personal query to me, but you know what? I'm going to let you hang in the breeze for a while.
Very good. All right.
Yeah, that was Kabul Airport. Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, this one right here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we all had to take our happy snap with a picture, because it was our only helo.
I love the front of I love the front of those things back when they used to make the big glass bubbles.
Oh, yeah, it reminds me of like the old B-29 and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
they were all of an era.
Anyway,
back in the day when guys actually had to carry a rifle there because they might get shot at, unlike when other folks got there and they carried rifles for photo opportunities.
So despite Ron's grumpiness,
London Community College.
Thank you.
When he speaks of these things, it's you might think it's kind of like Joe. When Ron and Joe speak about the things that they speak authoritatively about, they may know what the fuck they're talking about.
Should we talk? Should we transition to some guys who definitely did not know what the fuck they were talking about?
Or doing. Let's watch this video. It's a 3-minute video, but it's worth. This is just dropped. This came from Grassley.
Let me address something in the chat. In honor of Ron, I'm gonna break out a tactical photographer's vest for this weekend and wear it just to channel Ron since he's not going to be here.
Little early 2000s, late 90s CIA.
Yeah, I got one of those, and Ron and I probably got it at the same place. I'm just putting that out there.
Probably. I still have ones in the original wrapping from the shipping. Because we got them like in all the different colors, so we could be fashionable.
Well,
I had the khaki one and the black one and a green one.
Yep.
The crazy thing is I remember seeing the pictures from Vietnam, the Mac V SOG guys. They took those photo vests or hunter's vests, and they cut the sleeves off of they would dye their uniforms black. They cut the sleeves off and then sew the sleeves onto the vest. So they're wearing the vest actually like a jacket with nothing but a t-shirt underneath it. And it had sleeves, and like a collar on the top and sleeves coming up, but there was no BDU top with it. So,
well, we were not allowed to wear any sort of military-ish gear, and that was it wasn't like a regulation, but it was like the head of special operations said you will not wear military gear. So because we had a lot of guys that had come over from pick your branch of service and specialized.
They had all their gear from there,
right? Well, they had their their load bearing vests and stuff like that. Stuff that the SIF couldn't return, or they lost it,
right?
Type of stuff. But yeah, we weren't allowed to wear all it. So
gear,
yeah, I know. I got 2 tough boxes full of lost gear, but so we discovered photographer vests. So yeah. And I actually had media come up to me at Bagram saying, so which
Who are you
which
with?
news? Yeah, who are you with? And I would just look and say, no hable inglés, type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Ya no
fuck off.
poni macho pa angliski. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my
Shit.
M4 is like a dead giveaway that I do not work for UPI.
Exactly.
This is why you carry an AK-47 in theater. Ask me how I know.
Well, the ground guys did. We were in air, we got to carry M4s, which is all right. I mean, either one. I mean, we were called on both, but fuck it, whatever. It was a pain in the ass in the early days because we didn't have all the cool, drip to go on the thing, and we just had
Oh,
iron sights and the regular slings and like.
Well, we saw from
Stand
that
by my
picture of
original
Max.
statement that the AK is the better truck gun.
Yeah, no,
Well,
it's fine.
Underfolder AK.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
talk about agency drip though. I just refer you back to that picture of Max earlier where he's wearing the Afghan commando desert tiger stripe and he's got
right.
all
That
the
was yep.
yeah, that was much later in the war.
Yes, it was. That was the latter third of the campaign. That was
Yeah, I'd say that's in the teens probably, right?
yeah. That was when he was working with the Omegas and stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, no. I mean, I
Interior
got in
Ministry Commandos, right?
sure, go with that.
I think so.
Well, actually, they were NDS, but that's okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, NDS. Yeah.
NDS, which is the Afghan CIA. For all the people in the chat that are so smarter than me, sorry, never insult your audience. But I got in trouble. Speaking of Soviet weapons, for when one day the saw for whatever reason, so we dug out a PKM and put it in there. Oh my God, did I get in trouble? They says, you can't use that weapon up there. I says, actually, it's a much better weapon to use, but what do I know?
One of our PSD marksmen insisted on using a PSD, which is the Romanian version of the Dragunov, right? And folks were like, you can't use that. And he's like, dude, this is way, way better than a 700. So I'm going to use this.
And it's not accountable equipment either.
It's not accountable equipment. Yeah, it was left behind by someone, so we're just using it.
Nobody's coming back for that one, right? All right, guys, let's go back to the video on the sloped rooftop. That is it was too steep for anybody to get on. Yet now they walk around without any trouble. Go ahead.
Yes, that they sent yes, Beaver County sniper seen and sent the pictures out. This is him. Okay.
Rifle right there, obviously.
That's a slope?
Yeah, there's no slope there.
On that bike? We don't know. We don't know.
It's barely a slope, just enough to let rainwater roll off.
According to the Secret Service, he should be falling down right now.
Yeah, it's almost like that in places where you don't get a snow load, you
exactly
don't have slope proofs.
Well, that's just a little bit of a slope.
All right, so if you go to that window that's open and yell for Greg, that's the sniper that sent the original pictures and seen him come from the bike and set the book back down and then lost sight of him. Okay. He's the one that set the pictures out. I don't know if you got the same ones I did.
I think I did, yeah. He's like got his glasses on and he's
So they had pictures. They saw him on a bike.
That's where that photo that I said, I wonder how we got this photo so quick came from, is that window.
Yeah.
Stuff. And our sniper seen him walking away from that, I believe. Okay. But he would be right inside that window. He's the one that physically seen this, sent the pictures, and called it out.
okay. So and we have somebody detained, correct?
That I don't know.
Detained on this side. Right. Our guy that was just up here told me that there's a guy detained who's the owner of the bike.
Trying to get our story straight right quick.
Wow, look at the armed individuals on the roof. And it's probably hot because that white roof is reflecting a lot of sunlight. Oh.
Is that all your stuff? That was one of our yeah. So someone came up looking to treat him.
And gas is off the building, just so you know. Thank you.
Yeah, they do. I talked to them. They were those people detained with building. Maybe they were involved. Maybe they weren't.
Who released this video?
So this is Chuck Grassley released it, as part of congressional oversight.
One of his staff.
Now, I don't know how he got it. Yeah.
That's what I mean. How'd he get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. You know what I mean? Like that's in the air right now, right? So I got no problem detaining them. But again, I'm just trying to detain those guys, find out what they know, who they are, whatever. I'm trying to get clear information to relay back to DC.
I'm trying to figure out how I can make this not my fault. That's what he's saying.
Exactly right.
Victims.
Yeah, well, you wonder who he is. I mean, is he like an investigator? Is he, you know?
Well, he's
like
obviously Secret Service. He's got a Secret Service badge and a Secret Service pin. He's probably the detail leader for
It might be
not for Trump's detail, but for the local office.
The local, yeah.
the Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh field
or Philly
office.
or Philly or wherever I get. Maybe it's closer to Philly. Shit. So.
In the van. He survived.
And so they're referring to the van with the.
Probably.
Chat, you guys are not disappointing. I love all of the comments about the sloped roof they're standing on.
I know. Treat him. There's no cure for a head canoe. That's correct.
Well, they decided to bring on mountain goats to train
and
the
cows.
Before we go too far,
in the first pictures that came out, they said, "No, the kid had a cleft palate. He wasn't missing teeth." I'm like, dude, a 338 round to the face will make you lose teeth. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Robert. This is immediately. The body was still up there on the roof when those guys. The body was literally 10 feet away from where the camera was.
That's where they.
The blur you saw was
that's
the
where the
guy's
blurring
knife
was
spilling out onto the ground. Yeah,
exactly right.
Is that before the guy brought up the garden hose to wash it all away?
He says or before. like they're planning it. All right, let's go on to this next one here, and then I'll catch up with super chats. So this is interesting, right? And I don't know what there is to this, but this is the kind of stuff that's like, in order for us not to think crazy things about this, or at least some plausible things. This kind of information can't just keep coming out, right? Because it absolutely.
I want to issue a big caution here. There's no way that this random person on the internet actually had access to these people's phone records.
No. So what? He didn't have access to the phone. They paid as a advertiser, just the way any advertiser can, to get access to the Google ad data, which tracks location and time and all that kind of stuff. So that's where they're going through it. So let me read through this, and you'll see where we're going with this. We found the assassination's connections through our in-depth analysis of mobile ad data to track movements of Crooks and his associates. To do this, we tracked devices that regularly visited both Crooks' home and place of work and follow them. So the interesting thing is they see that somebody was in these locations, but they don't know exactly who. Right, so it could be his parents because the parents live in the home. It could be Crooks. It could be a friend came over to his house. Things like that, right? And so they use a kind of a process of elimination to figure out which one may be Crooks, and then where else did he go? And
this is a great ad for silent Faraday bags.
Amen, brother. Amen. To do this, we track devices that regularly visited both Crooks' home and place of work and followed them. Let's see. Here we go. First one: someone who regularly visited Crooks' home and worked, also visited a building in Washington D.C. Located at Gallery Place. This is the same vicinity of the FBI office on June 26, 2023. Now it could be in many other places too, but it is still of note that this is in that location off of Gallery Place. Whose device is this? ? Right? So they don't say it's Crooks. They just say somebody who is at Crooks' work and at Crooks' home also went into this location. Now, there could also be a Starbucks here because there's a fucking Starbucks every block in Washington, D.C. So it's kind of hard to say, but it is kind of that, breadcrumb trail, right? The problem is that regular media should be going after this kind of data and should be looking into this and trying to figure out the story, but they're not. It's total crickets. You're not hearing about any of this stuff from mainstream media. And that's actually a bigger concern in a lot of ways, I think, than the actual breadcrumbs that we're looking at. Another device linked to Crooks visited Plymouth, Massachusetts. That's a Pittsburgh International Airport to Plymouth, Massachusetts. This is on March 3rd, 2024. And then Plymouth Harbor area over here. Then we've got, we found a device linked to Crook's work that traveled to Butler, PA on July 4th and July 8th. This device stopped all activity on July 12th. On August 30th, 2023, one device was linked to Crook's visited Allegheny Arms. So that's a gun shop there, local to them. And here's all the relevant locations within Bethel Park, PA, that are linked to both Crook's home and place of work. And so this is, several different places. Tang Sudo, karate. I thought
Tongue pseudo, but yes.
Well, anyway, in Bethel Park, Floral Park Garden Center, South Park Golf Course, Allegheny Arms, home location, work location, high school, YMCA, and a school district building. And so Planet Fitness, a couple of places that have been redacted on here. And for those who are tracking this type of data, we identified devices that were located at Crook's home and his work within the past year. There are at least 9 devices linked to those ADIDs. We are willing to cooperate with legitimate investigators and share further information. For protection of whistleblowers, our investigation, we will not be sharing further information with the Congressional Task Force due to connection issues between the entity, the FBI, U.S. Secret Service, and other entities. If you have further information, blah, blah, blah. And so this is the oversight project at heritage.org. So I thought this was interesting information, and it's sad to see that you're having to have politically aligned organizations be the ones that are actually doing this digging, right? Real quick, we got well-armed corgi for $9.99. He was telling me to shut up, so I can tell you all quite clear that comrades aren't to speak of Trump's assassination attempt, lest the momentum it creates becomes insurmountable. Right, absolutely. I mean, have you guys heard any real talk of the assassination attempt since the convention?
No, and that's why I keep telling you, and Mark from who comes to all of our training classes in North Carolina, Anti-Pattern on Twitter, keeps saying, do not let them let this fade into obscurity. Don't let them forget that they tried to kill Donald Trump. It's a big deal. If someone had tried to kill Joe Biden, it'd be all you'd hear about for the next 5 months, every single day. Don't let them do that with this, and they're trying to.
Grifting Gamer for $5 says the Clay Martin Nathan Green Twitter space last night removed all doubts I had left. Inside job. Tactical Wisdom got name dropped too. Cheers. Very good. Very good. Let me catch up with super chats over here on Rumble. Peter Chase Helicopter Tours for $2 says Joe is a tiny SA and a nano VNA the same thing. Is a tiny SA and a nano VNA the same thing, or looks the same but does different things?
They look the same, do very similar things, but the tiny SA Ultra is the better tool.
What is that?
So it's a spectrum analyzer, and when you combine it with a Yagi antenna, you can get a line of bearing on any radio signal in about half of a second. So it's pretty solid for finding where signals are coming from. And more importantly, what signals are being emitted near you. In a grid down situation, anyone emitting RF near you is a problem. So it's good to know.
All right. Let me go down. I think there was one more. Yep. Random PNW guy 84 for $5 says, Rob, if you put enough balloons on your house, you can make it shield field days by this weekend. So,
unfortunately, the wind goes from west to east, so figure that one out, dude. Well, I don't know where he lives. I mean, So.
And Peter Shays Helicopters for $5 says, I checked out the cell data locations in Plymouth, and there is a small park with a couple of benches, the hotel. There's a Bitcoin ATM at one location. Rest are seafood restaurants and lawyer offices for what it's worth. Okay.
I like Dana's idea of American flags that say fight, fight, fight. That's pretty cool. It's not a bad idea. I also saw a great photo where they took of Donald Trump when he was saying fight with his hand up, and somebody put Wolverines across the top, and it's just the
classic.
The best.
Yeah. Yeah, we could exchange the blue stripe or the red stripe in the flags for the fight thing. Yeah, I'll get right on it.
All right, all caught up there. Let's. Do we have anything else left? Real quick, did we do the? There's another Viva Fry one I wanted to. This is a kind of a. This is more of a. I guess this is kind of a transition from the. I'm going to drop it here in the private chat. Watch it so you've got it. This is just talk. This goes from assassination stuff to political stuff. This is Jerry Nadler, and just if you needed a reminder of what a disgusting human being he is, I thought we could play this real quick and then talk about the
This
campaign.
assassination attempt, as horrific as it is, should surprise no one. And you would think a political party that almost lost their presidential candidate through an act of political violence would have something to say about the way the leaders keep talking about the next election. Donald Trump has warned there will be a, quote, bloodbath if he loses.
So we're blaming the victim now.
Just last week at a rally for J.D. Vance that he is, quote, afraid.
Blame the victim Nadler comes with real pants-shitting action and a diaper you can change yourself.
That civil war might be necessary if Republicans lose the November election.
Oh, Jesus.
President of the right-wing think tank and Project 2025 leader, the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts, said on Stephen Bannon's podcast, quote, "We're in the process of the second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be," close quote. Republican former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin said in August of last year of Trump's indictments, "Do you want us to be in civil war? Because that's what's going to happen. We're not going to keep putting up with this. We do need to rise up and take our country back," close quote. I could go on, but it's more and more of the same. And I hear nothing from the other side of the aisle in this room about these statements. Do you support a bloodbath if you don't get the election outcome you want? Do you justify violence if the left does not agree with you? And what exactly has preoccupied this Republican majority while their allies threaten violence to their political enemies? No one imagined.
Is there a question there?
Well, yeah, no, there's not. But also, for a moment, I thought maybe that was in the video, and then I realized no one in that room would be that patriotic.
Yeah. This is. I think this is correct. Nadler's inspiring more patsy assassins.
No.
Projection much. Yeah, so
it's like if the Penguin from the old Batman movies from the mid '90s got elected. It's amazing.
Darren, I did hear about this. Yeah, this is pretty sick. Heaven forbid we have freedom of speech.
As I keep pointing out, you are in a left-wing insurgency and have been for some time. They're just not telling you about it.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. It's our normalcy bias makes it almost impossible for us to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not just like the average guy walking down the streets. It's even people like us, right?
It's also like all of the incidents that happened during the RNC that I kept pointing out, and everyone's like, "No, that's just typical street crime in Wisconsin." In Wisconsin. In Milwaukee. In Milwaukee, do guys with AK-47s put on ski masks and attempt to enter political conventions? That's not typical street crime. Do they attempt to ram police barricades at a political convention? No, that's not normal street crime. So they just had an excuse for everything to make it not look like the left was trying to violently disrupt the RNC, yet they were.
Yeah. That's it. I think it's well said, Joe. All right, UCO Steve for $5 and Rumble says it was too hot for the agent to do his job. I suspect that just JFK, they were drinking all night long before they came to work. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? All right, let's jump into our next topic here, gentlemen. So this is we may have to selectively edit this down, but we'll go through as quickly as possible. So key endorsements pour in for Kamala Harris as a VP selection nears. So essentially, she has taken the race by force, right? She is
It doesn't
essentially.
surprise me because she has a lot of satisfied customers.
Oh, let's see. President Biden withdrew from the race for president on Sunday and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to lead Democrats in the race for the White House. Many top Democrats have fallen in line behind Harris, receiving endorsements from the Clintons, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Harris is in the process of selecting a vice president, with her most likely selection being a handful of Democratic governors from the Midwest. Gentlemen, I ask you.
Handful of Democratic governors from the Midwest, you say? I think just one.
You're talking about Gretchen Whitmer, yeah. Well, I mean, they've been floating Bashir from Kentucky, which I think is interesting because he's not very popular in Kentucky. So, Lance Corporal veteran for $10.
Kamala is willing to get on her knees and beg for your vote, and I think that should be commended.
Lance Corporal veteran for $10 says Nadler is the same one who said the Portland attack on the Fed courthouse had not happened, and repeated that the talking point that Antifa was not real but an idea. Absolutely, Nadler is famous for the Antifa is an idea, kind of line.
Nadler's as corrupt as Menendez, and they both come from New Jersey, which is sort of like Ohio, not a real state.
Oh my God! Don't get me started.
Right.
UCOSD for $5 says I blame Biden-Harris for hate speech. I blame the Biden-Harris hate speech. Okay.
So he really can't step down from office because let's all remember what Gerald Ford was called. Does anyone know what Gerald Ford was called? The accidental president, because he is the only person who was president of the United States who was never elected. And that would be the same situation with Kamala. If he stepped down, she became president for a couple of months. She is still, I don't think she's electable. I really don't. She was the least popular of the Democratic candidates, and she hasn't gotten any better.
Well, have you guys ever heard of a review bomb, or a book bomb or something like this, where essentially, like an author will drive all of his fans to buy the book all on the same day to spike the Amazon ratings through the roof. Same thing for reviews. This kind of gets that kind of initial traction. Well, that is what has happened with Kamala Harris. She's not popular, but she has an organization behind her with a lot of money. And they did everything they can to basically spike the interest with her. And that's what's happening with TikTok. It's shocking that she is blowing up on TikTok. It shouldn't be shocking to anybody because they absolutely control the algorithm and can push whatever thing that they want via that platform. She's not really popular. It is 100% astroturf. And we're going to go through a couple of things on that in this segment here. The next one up is Insurrection Barbie on X. I think this is funny. Here is Kamala Harris saying that in the first 100 days, if she is president, she will violate the Second Amendment by executive order.
And if they fail to do it, then I will take executive action. And specifically what I will do is put in place a requirement that for anyone who sells more than 5 guns a year, they are required to do background checks when they sell those guns.
Marketplace.
I will require that for any gun dealer that breaks the law, the ATF take their license. And by the way, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Well, the ATF has been doing a lot of the A and the T, but not much of the F.
I love that image there at the end. Maybe that should be our thumbnail.
If there's one thing Kamala knows, it's about doing the F. Anyway, first of all, what she's just said is already the law and always has been. If you sell more than 5 firearms a year, you do have to do background checks. You're a federal firearms licensee at that point. And you have to do
I thought if you do private purchase within the states.
Every state has now adjusted their sales requirements to more than casual. More than 5 a year is more than casual. Right?
Okay.
Nothing she said is new.
But But for the low and no information voter, it's new. Oh wow, she's going to take
Exactly
action.
right. It sounds like action.
It's just like when Biden first took office, he voided Trump's executive order on the what was it, insulin, and then he reinstituted it under him. See, I've lowered the price of insulin.
Exactly right.
Right.
It's all.
Well, the good news is Harris has an amazing record over the last 4 years to run on, and I hope she stands by all of her track record of success for the last 4 years, because I get the feeling that in this election, it's going to be like a boat anchor around her neck. So, she should be proud of it. Absolutely. I think she should.
Well, she'll have a lot of Dukakis moments. The Willie Horton attacks will come, especially with her time as DA and Attorney General back in California.
So we just heard her speak in her most prepared fashion, and she was already terrible, right? But she presented her idea, in a, I don't know, 6th grade, 8th grade level, and I'm okay with that. But this next one is this is a damning ad. I think Dave McCormick is who's this. Yeah, in Pennsylvania, right? He's running for U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania. This is an ad from Dave McCormick is absolutely running right into the face of Kamala Harris's record. So let's
Harris is inspiring and very capable. The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
That nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator.
I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
What is the solution for voters in the fossil fuel industry?
Giving the workers an ability to transition. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented cross borders criminals. That's correct.
Raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross a border without documentation.
Abolish ICE. Yeah, is that a position you agree with?
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
Outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street.
Would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes. The food pyramid. But people
yes. To reduce red meat specifically. Yes.
People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on. I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
That's a good ad.
Yeah, it is. God.
I mean,
Public
talk about
health
hoisted
and
by.
healthcare are not the same thing.
Yeah. Well, talking about hoisted by your own petard, I mean, it's this is what we're going to get for the next. I mean, she thinks we're going to get dynamic Kamala, but this is what we're going to get for the next 4 months.
What you're going to get is Kamala who gets on stage constantly and says, "We must become who we can become, unburdened by what we once were." What does that even mean?
It's Marxist. Yeah. No. Listen to what it actually says. It's it's one of those Marxist Hegelian bullshit things where. Anyhow, but speaking of tards who need to be hoisted,
all this dialectic crap. Oh yes. So it just so happens. So I tweeted about this, and I'm like, of course I know what it is. This is the faction fighting that we said that's going to happen between now and the DNC. And Watcher, you were talking about the factions within, but I joked on X that might BLM be realizing that they have been a tool of their own subjugation. So this is timeline of it. This is a Black Lives Matter official account, I believe. Timeline of events: Sunday, Joe Biden drops out, and then Kamala Harris announces campaign with Biden endorsement. Kamala Harris says she is going to work hard to earn the nomination. Kamala Harris makes the calls to party delegates. Monday, Kamala Harris continues making
here for
calls.
just 1 second?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Coincidentally, Barack Obama has intentionally not
endorsed her. That's correct. Yeah.
That's
so
important.
if there's a faction on the other side, it's got to be headed by Barack Obama. Though Susan Rice is on board, evidently, with which is interesting. All right, Monday, Kamala Harris makes 2 public speeches. AP announces Kamala Harris has secured enough delegates to be the Democratic nominee on Monday night. Kamala Harris then releases this statement noting that she has worked hard to go out and earn this nomination as promised Monday night. 24-hour process of talking to party bosses is not democratic, nor is it a process Democrats should be proud of. We do not live in a dictatorship. Delegates are not oligarchs. Installing Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee and an unknown vice president without any public voting process would make the modern Democratic Party the party of hypocrites. We call the DNC to create a process that allows for a public participation in the nomination process, not just a nomination by party delegates. Almost like they're not democratic.
The DNC has always been the party of hypocrites.
They'll have a public participation. August in Chicago.
Exactly right. It'll be a spectator sport for sure. The popcorn will be popping here on this end. I can tell you that.
It's funny. So here in South Dakota, Democratic Party is sort of like, it's a pimple on the ass of South Dakota, but it's not. But they do have delegates, and when they first go, well, gee, Biden resigned. Oh gosh, but we're going to wait and see who we support. Less than 24 hours later, they snapped into line. Like, I mean, it was remarkable. The groupthink that goes on in that place.
So I mean, what else? So are there any other shoes you guys think in this kind of public infighting that we're going to see? I mean, do you guys think that Barack Obama is going to come out?
This isn't settled. Look,
I know it's not settled, but what do you think the other shoe is?
She has quote. Well, first of all, let's be very clear about what happened. She has quote secured the delegates. Have the delegates said that? Has anybody voted? Or was it literally just Kamala who came out and said, I did it? Basically,
regardless of whether or not she
said,
thinks
Joe
she
resigns.
secured them, it's still technically an open convention.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
None of it matters until the vote is cast. So
this is nowhere near
a lot
over.
This is territory between now and then, and a lot can happen between now and then.
And there's not a lot of enthusiasm among Democratic voters. I mean, what was it? Chuck Schumer got out on a press conference and enthusiastically endorsed her and started clapping, and everybody just sort of stood there like, yeah, dude, we're not supporting her. We're not clapping. And he said, hey, I'm clapping. Come on, I'm clapping. And people still just stood there not clapping.
Did he jeb it? Come on.
I'm just saying that if the Obamas invite her over to go swimming, she should be concerned.
Want to go paddleboarding?
But no, listen. Very seriously, this is all just fundraising, is what this is. Like this is her trying to make herself look legitimate enough that idiots that have too much money that are on the left feel confident giving her money. That's it.
Yeah, it is kind of bizarre.
And
Well,
again,
speaking of fundraising,
essentially the same people who came out and informed Joe that he was resigning.
So let me is that the next one? Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure I got the same one up. This is Beheezy tweets, a guy named George. He says, breaking massive scandal has emerged from the donations of ActBlue. Now, this is an interesting kind of thing that's come out. A massive scandal has emerged from the donations ActBlue received on the day Joe Biden dropped out. Reports indicate that $20 million from Swiss billionaire Hans-Jörg Wyss was broken down into over 1.6 million donations, over 400,000 donors. Wyss is looked at as George Soros' successor when it comes to pouring money into American politics. These donations are called smurfing, which happens when names of innocent small donors, usually elderly, are used to funnel money into political campaigns, typically Democratic. James O'Keefe and OMG Media previously discovered millions of questionable donations on ActBlue. Now, there is a video, it's like 8 minutes long, from James O'Keefe. I don't know that we want to watch that, but he is absolutely kind of pushing this story. And I watched a little bit of the video before the show, and I think it's pretty compelling about this. Let's see. In recent years, the platform has been penalized for facilitating nearly 44,000 in illegal contributions, which has been called out for not requiring standard security measures like CVV numbers from online donations. So, I mean, this is essentially a giant fraud network, and it's so large that it's kind of like hard to see, right? It's like the big lie that Hitler always talked about. If you do something really, really big, nobody's going to believe that it's fake, right? And that's the reason why this is, it's just assumed that it's correct. Guys, thoughts?
I don't know how they proved this. I would have to see the proof to make it.
Yeah, I'm looking at here's a couple more tweets here. So this is these are previous elections where they kind of show the same thing. I want to find that video from James O'Keefe. I think if we just watch the first 2 minutes, I think it would be pretty good. Like I said, I saw it, but I haven't watched it. All right, let me. And then and then another part of it is the other side of it is now Trump okay. So Trump just filed a bombshell legal complaint against Kamala Harris. This is the same guy tweeting later that Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party. He said they violated federal election law when Biden laundered his campaign cash to Kamala. Kamala Harris is seeking to perpetrate a $91 million heist of Joe Biden's leftover campaign cash, a brazen money grab that would constitute the single largest excessive contribution and biggest violation in the history of the federal election campaign. This is from the Trump the Trump campaign, I guess it said this. Trump says Biden and Kamala flagrantly violated the act by making and receiving excessive contributions of nearly $100 million and filing fraudulent forms with the commission purporting to repurpose one candidate's principal campaign for the use of another candidate. This doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, I don't think that this actually. I think that lacks a legal basis, because if the donations are all funneled through Act Blue, it then doesn't matter who spends the money, as long as it's on the Democratic candidate.
So this is actually different money, right? The first money was this foreign investor or the foreign donator that's funneling through Act Blue in like many small contributions, right? Whereas the other is just transferring the money from the Biden campaign.
But the Biden campaign money is all Act Blue money, therefore Democratic money, is what I'm saying.
Well, but if Act Blue receives money, but then transfers it to the Biden campaign,
go right now and go to give money to the Harris campaign, and see where it sends you.
Yeah, but Act Blue is just the conduit. My understanding, like the accounts don't belong to Act Blue; the accounts belong to the Harris campaign, right? I mean, that's how I understand it. If I'm wrong, tell me how I'm
Act
wrong.
Blue is the Democratic National Convention or committee, so they can give it to whom they choose.
So they actually control the money. The campaign doesn't control the money. I wasn't tracking that. That's
why they want you to donate to Act Blue. So it goes not just to their campaign; it goes to all their campaigns across the country, and then they decide who gets to spend the money on it. We had the same problem with the RNC in Win Red, right? When people were saying, "Well, everyone was donating money to my campaign there, but the RNC never released that money to me, and they used it on other campaigns." Well, that's the nature of using one of these national committees to collect your money.
Exactly.
But you can donate money directly to a campaign, though, right? You don't have to go through a conduit.
You can, but the majority of the websites direct you to Act Blue or Win Red.
Right. I didn't use Win Red in my campaign because of that. I was not guaranteed 100% or, whatever little, they take off the top to process, shipping and
Yeah.
handling fees, whatever. So I did not use WinRed, and it's better look, folks, it's better if you want to contribute to a political candidate or a campaign on some sort of initiative measure, something like that, contribute directly to that cause. Don't contribute to a party, because the political party, it's sort of like the old wounded warrior, like, why, yes, you contribute, you'll get a blanket, and then the other 95% will go to pay for my exclusive jet travel everywhere. So
And I'll
no.
hire a vet to refuel it. So there, you gave to vets.
Exactly.
And I think that, man, I had another good example and it went away. Oh, unions. It's like paying union dues, right?
Yeah.
What are you getting for that now? You're getting a
nothing.
good lifestyle for the union bosses, but not so much for the worker.
Oh man, no, I get pre-printed protest signs and strike signs. I don't have to make my own. Come on now.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Paid for by Act Blue.
That's right. Ask any teacher union member.
Let me ask you this, guys. I mean, so we've got the Trump campaign is already, lodging complaints with the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, on this piece right here. It's interesting that they're not the only ones hamstringing campaigns, right? As a matter of fact, the Trump campaign's getting hamstringed. Secret Service encourages Trump to campaign to stop outdoor rallies. Wow, you mean stop their most productive and most successful kind of conduit to the people? Like in the 2016, he was always doing the big, arena tour type facilities. But during COVID in 2020, he did started doing these outdoor things, and the outdoor things were huge, and it was a lot cheaper because a field at an airport or on a farm or something like that out in some county is way cheaper than getting some Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, I'll tell you what makes it a lot cheaper too is that a field in the middle of nowhere doesn't have to have insurance in order to host these events. And insurance that's going to ratchet the thing up 1,000 times because of the political violence. That's how leftists cancel a lot of these events specifically, is even if the people want to go with it, their building's insurance will not allow them to do so if they want to continue to stay insured.
I'll actually say too that this headline is sort of a non-story to me, because the Secret Service would have always been encouraging him not to hold outdoor rallies.
Right.
I mean,
they've been real weird about that.
Always a problem. Yeah.
They've been weird about that ever since
to secure.
Yeah, well, they've been really weird about that ever since that one summer in Texas.
Right.
Yeah. But it's interesting that the story came out, Scott, right after they showed a video of Kamala's rally in, I think it was Wisconsin, inside like a high school gymnasium auditorium, and showing all the enthusiastic crowd, and you're going like,
the enthusiastic crowd, 35 people.
Maybe 1,000 people, packed the gymnasium, in the bleachers, but like it doesn't, and then you just look at any of the Trump things and it's like, yeah, no. And Trump can say, look, you're obligated under law to provide me protection as a former president and as an active, bona fide presidential candidate. If you can't do this, then I will hire additional private security. There's a lot of retired Secret Service guys out there that would love to help him out. And old Blackwater guys and Eric Prince type people. And then you guys figure out how you coordinate and cooperate and make it all happen. But, I am not stopping my campaign because your inability to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, Trump can tell the Secret Service, like, no, do your job. And, believe me, I have somebody on my staff taking notes. And like when I get in on January, I'm just going to call, you guys are all going to get a form letter, sort of like the Joe Biden fax that resigned from the campaign saying, you're fired. Bye-bye. Because remember, Secret Service doesn't have any civil service protections. They're an exempted and an accepted civil service. You can be fired for no reason, no cause, just bye-bye.
Yeah.
I don't like the way your tie looks today. You're fired.
Let me read a little bit of the story here. In the aftermath of the shooting, agents from the Secret Service communicated their concern about large outdoor rallies going forward. I mean, it would make sense that they would communicate this to President Trump after the attempted assassination. Three people familiar with the matter said the people, let's see, for upcoming events, Trump's team is scouting indoor venues such as basketball arenas and other large spaces where thousands of people can fit. People familiar with the request said the campaign is not currently planning any large outdoor events. A person close to Trump's. And let's be honest, he may be a little nervous, right? This may be, one of those kind of things where he's thinking, maybe the juice isn't worth the squeeze on some of this stuff. After having the top of my ear clipped off. Let's see, a Trump campaign spokeswoman declined to comment. Spokesperson for the Secret Service said the agency does not comment on protective methods. Trump has held hundreds of outdoor rallies since launching his first presidential bid, often bragging about and sometimes falsely, of course, Washington Post would say that, in falsely inflating his large crowds. They have become something of a cult favorite amongst his most passionate fans, with tailgate parties in parking lots, vendors lining up open areas near the rally.
Listen, you can hear the bitterness in the article, right?
Exactly right. It's like
this doesn't happen for our candidates. Sorry.
Yeah. So let's see. We've seen from the early days of presidency, even and before, during the first campaign in 2016, how important the crowd size is to him. Yeah, see, even the quotes are kind of begrudging the large crowd size that he gets. He feeds off their energy. It's almost like a source of comfort for him. Crazy.
Gee, it's almost like he's being elected to represent them or something.
Yes, exactly right. Anyway, so I thought this was an interesting kind of tidbit of information about the campaign going forward. And then if you were curious about any policy positions on Ukraine, I thought this is a good little clip that we could end the show on as far as the last news item. This is Trump and JD Vance on Fox News. This clip is worth
and
it. It's about Ukraine.
As you know, President Zelensky called me, and we had a good talk. And I said, we got to get this war over. This is a war machine. You're facing a war machine. That's what they do, is they fight wars. They beat Hitler. They beat Napoleon. They're fighting a war. And the spring offensive never happened. And here they had millions of mines put down, and they had thousands of army tanks, meaning the Russians. And I said, we got to get this war over with. A lot of Russians being killed, but a lot of Ukrainians being killed. It's a whole mess. Should have never happened. Biden should have never allowed this to happen. This was an easy stop. This was zero chance of happening. And it didn't happen for my 4 years. It would have happened. It didn't happen. And President Putin would have never done it. Never, ever. Two reasons. Number one, the oil prices were low. I kept them low. I kept gasoline low. I kept oil low. And he wouldn't have had the money to prosecute. As soon as these guys came in, the oil went to almost $100 a barrel, which is double what it should be. And all of a sudden, he's got tremendous amounts of money that he didn't have. Russia had. So they did the war. And in my opinion, every single thing that Biden said was the opposite of what he should have said. I watched this happening. I said, he's saying the wrong things. He's saying absolutely the opposite of what he should be saying.
Interesting.
He went with they beat Napoleon.
They're a war machine. That's what they do. That's a kind of a deep cut.
Point out that it was the winter that beat both Napoleon and Hitler. But okay,
yeah, General Winter.
General Winter. Well, I mean, in this case, General Winter was working for the Russians, I guess.
Right. He's trying to give Zelensky a fig leaf to go to a peace conference and say, okay, you can keep what you've got because I'm tired of throwing away my older men and women in the fight.
I also think the whole they beat Hitler thing was kind of a hint. Hey, your kind of folks don't do so well against the Russians.
Yeah. This is true.
So guys, I think Trump is.
I just want to know when White Russia and Black Russia will team up to take on Russia. That's what we really need here.
Well, it was White Russia and Red Russia. I'm just.
Well, I know. That's why we need to find Black Russia, because Red Russia didn't work out so well.
Lance Corporal Veteran for $5 says, anyone see the cringy response from Tulsi and Vivek fans to Trump's VP pick? I mean, let's be honest. Even Vivek was happy with JD Vance. His fans, the problem with his fans is like they're too wrapped around the axle on personality. And the Tulsi
not
fans,
personality. I want to back that up on the words that he says. Because the guy has personality is an implant, right? That's not who he really is. They're hung up on the words he says because he says the right things.
Well, I like his words, but I don't care about him as a person one way or the other, right? He's just he's immaterial to me. So that's why I'm saying the people who are hung up on Vivek, they don't really care about the words, because like if JD Vance says a lot of the same as Vivek does, then they should be happy with Vance. But the problem is they're not, because he's not Vivek, right? It's like they're wrapped around the axle.
You didn't pick my favorite.
Yeah, exactly right. It's tribalism, right? It's that, and which is one of the most dangerous forces in American society today is tribalism. I don't. You're not with me, so we can't be friends, right?
If you want to hear Scott talk about that, come to Shield Field Days.
Yeah, and I blame Marines for causing tribalism.
Get my bayonet.
See, more tribalism. You're gonna go pokey, stabby, stabby. Got it.
VB says for $10 says gotta go rescue a truck. Listening. Thanks, guys. Continue the meme war. Cyberbullying works. Yeah, and shame is a tool of that should be embraced in the culture for sure.
Yeah. Look, Tulsi never had a chance to be VP. I mean, we know that. I mean, her sudden changes in positions and her inability to recant on previous anti-Second Amendment and other, anti-America First policies or statements. Like, yeah, I mean, no. And Vivek, he says all the right things, but he's, I don't know. JD and him and JD Vance they were Yale schoolmates. They all kind of knew each other there. So, and they knew each other from Ohio politics. So, which is amazing, because I didn't think there were any politics west of Pennsylvania and east of Indiana, but okay.
So are we on next statements?
All y'all are still sipping for Tulsi. It's just because of her assets.
Her huge tracts of land. Mm-hmm. Joe, speaking of huge tracts of land, what's your exit statement here for today? Where do you think we're going?
Where do I think we're going? I think that the gates are actually being put up for pro-Palestinian protesters who are gathering as we speak, ahead of Netanyahu's planned appearance. So that could get spicy today. We shall see. I think that's at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is whatever time it is here, noon, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would watch that, see how that goes. And I just initiate movement to Montana. Get out here and come to the event. Come have fun with us. Come hang out.
Ron?
I mean, I was just looking at a map where all the protesters are hanging out between. It's basically from the Washington Monument all the way to Capitol Hill, and they're going to have whoever, diplomatic security service, Washington police, Metropolitan Police, Capitol Police, whomever. They're going to have a tough time getting Netanyahu moved from his hotel or the Israeli embassy to the to Capitol Hill to actually make his speech. And also, it's amazing how many Democratic politicians are, like, well, gee, I can't be there because, I'm not a Zionist racist. And suddenly, I mean, man, it's going to be really telling. it's going to be really telling who doesn't show up, and I just don't get it. The Democrats are totally simping for a non-entity and for Gaza atrocities, So, and I think every one of those people in Congress, senators, or representatives that don't attend should constantly be bombarded with the names and photos of the Americans to start with, but all the hostages and how long they've been taken, and videos of the hostages that when they were first captured, and all the Gazans cheering, like, oh yeah, we've struck a major blow for Palestinian freedom. And oh, by the way, let's give a big hat tip to the Chinese for bringing Fatah and the Hamas and other assorted Palestinian liberation groups together as China makes a play to be, the next, power broker in the Middle East. Gee, the last time we had somebody from the Far East do that was when one of the Khans took over Baghdad. But we won't talk about that. The Mountain of Skulls lives.
Watcher.
Yeah, it's been slightly more than a week since a presidential candidate came within millimeters of being assassinated. And today, the president of a foreign nation with whom the leftists are unhappy with is staying in our country, and somebody snuck into his hotel and was successfully able to plant insects and who knows what else in the dining hall that was set aside for their use. So ask yourself, what else might go down?
You are in a leftist insurgency. Act like it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's I usually write a weekly letter to the editor here to our local paper, and I usually write it Saturday, Sunday because week's events, local. I try to keep it on local issues because 99% of the people, that's all they really care about here in or anywhere actually. They hear the national stuff, but unless you're living in the DC bubble, it's kind of like it's just white noise. But I just couldn't because everything just kept changing so quickly nationally that and even when I started to write a local issue, it just I felt like I was getting seesaw whipped back and forth like I'm on a tilt-a-whirl or something like that going at high speed. It was like I can't keep up sometimes. It's hard.
We'll see if they do a live stream if things go pear-shaped today, before, during, after BB's speech. I don't know. We'll see what happens. If the appropriate event occurs, we're always willing to do specials if needed. Timing though, I would not be able to take part in a kind of a PM one, but Watcher and Joe and whoever's available, feel free.
Yeah.
Perhaps we will see.
There's some degeneracy going on in the chat. Thank you, chat, for keeping it PG-13, I guess. Daisy Girl Williams there.
I was trying to fix the Stormy thing, and I don't know how. So
yeah, she's just timed out, I think, for like 300 seconds or something like that, probably. So
I think it says 800 and something. So however long that is.
However long that is, Stormy. Well, she's active over there and she actually said something that I wanted to make sure I emphasize before we go. Don't forget to hit the like button before you go. Thanks for
86,000 seconds. I don't know how long that is. It sounds like a really long time.
It's like a long time. Oh, hopefully it'll be over by the next show. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. If you haven't done already, if you think you may be coming out to Montana, go ahead and sign up. You save $10, in registration, and it gives us a good idea of how many folks are coming out and things like that. We're anticipating a nice crowd. We're gonna we'll get guys like you folks coming from the chat, but we'll also have people coming locally. And I know Shield's spreading the word locally there in Montana, so we should have a good
flyers and doing radio campaigns. So it's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll have a kind of a local feel to it, so it'll be a lot of fun. So we're really looking forward to it. Now I will be out of the loop potentially on Wednesday, I think. So we either I won't be on the show Wednesday, or is it Tuesday or was it Wednesday? Is my
You're
plan.
getting here Tuesday night. We'll be doing the show Wednesday morning.
Okay, so then Wednesday but it will be at a different time because
It'll be at 9 a.m. It'll be at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Okay, I just want to so we'll make sure we put a tweet out, and we'll all share it out there that has the updated times. And there will probably be some unannounced live shows. So if you keep your notifications on the weekend of our live event, because we may just go live, and that's the only way you get it, through the notifications. But we'll try to let people know ahead of time. And we'll make the show and everything beforehand so you can see that it's live. So, all right, that's all we have today. If you haven't done already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you're sharing the link out there with everybody, and let them know that this is quality entertainment that you're getting here on the Council on Future Conflicts. Good news, of course, always as the world burns. So as always, people stay safe.